with one of us, live from the end of the world. We are here today to talk about the end of the world. Are we? No, we're here to talk about werewolves, and we're here to talk about film festivals and werewolves at film festivals. And joining me is one of my favorite werewolves, Trevor.
How are you doing?
I see what you did there. I like it. It was either that or giving me a full moon, and I'm glad with the choice that you made, Trevor. I'm really happy.
Okay. I did that as a public service.
Yeah, it's deeply appreciated. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, recovering after Fantastic Fest, which I did not think would be a thing this year. But yeah, I needed to take a little break. There was a lot of Fantastic Fest that happened, and when you're trying to live your day life on top of your Fantastic Fest life, you need to take a week and breathe.
Yes. I mean, even the virtual version, and nothing else changed for us. And I know for me still, I'm like, if I don't get at least one movie in a day, I'm going to fall way behind. And so adding another 2 to 3 movies on top of that, it's stressful.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, poor baby, you had to watch a movie? Oh no. Like, yeah, you try it for like 3 years.
Stacks up. Like when you realize, oh, I was supposed to watch a movie, and I don't have the screener anymore. Damn it, those are stressful moments.
Yeah, or that moment when you get on Twitter and realize that the guy whose movie you just wrote a scathing review of or podcast of is not pleased.
Yeah.
Feel kind of sheep.
Luckily, we haven't had that problem on my podcast yet. We're just small enough that the filmmakers don't listen to us. So.
Yeah, we mainly get like just praise from people who are happy that whenever we cover a much smaller film that we covered it at all. They're like, "Hey, sorry you like the film, but hey, thanks for covering it." Okay, I'll take it. But you know what? We got a film that played Fantastic Fest that didn't play the online festival, which I thought was kind of strange, actually, because it came out on VOD almost immediately afterwards. So I'm like, why wouldn't you want it to be available for streaming? I'm actually was confused about that, but they did have a live version. If you were here in Austin, you could go see it. So we didn't cover it with our Fantastic Fest coverage, but we are going to talk about it here. That movie is The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is the new film by Jim Cummings. You go, Jim Cummings, where do I know that name from? You know him or hopefully you know him because you saw his 2018 feature film Thunder Road, based on his 2016 short film that is exceptional and well worth seeing. In every way.
I did not see Thunder Road.
Ooh.
And when I saw that Jim Cummings was the director, I went voice actor Jim Cummings, who voices like Winnie the Pooh. I thought we were going to get like a straight werewolf movie out of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, the werewolf comes out and he's like, oh, bother.
Oh, bother.
That would have been a very different type of film. But
he's trying to escape, but he's eaten too many people, so he's stuck in the doorway. It's really cute.
Oh my god, yeah, like he's stuck in there because the blood after he like passed out, but all the blood that he got splattered with congealed and like has gotten gluey and he can't squeeze out. Someone should make this, Trevor. Why is no one making this right now? But no,
Milne horror reboot. You have your assignment, Twitter. Go for it.
But yeah, this is actually also The Wolf of Snow Hollow is also Robert Forster's final film role, and boy, do you feel it, man. You know that he is not going to be around much longer when you see him in this movie.
But he was still really, really damn good in this. Like, I think he was one of the better parts of the movie for me. And it was just like, it was just like a little heartwarming, kind of like, oh, we lost this guy, and I love Robert Forster, and like, thank God it was a decent performance to go out on too.
It really was. Okay, so somebody asked me right after I finished watching this, because I came out raving about it, going, man, I love this. It's so rarely do I see a werewolf film that makes me go, that was a great experience. I've never really seen a werewolf film like that. I will watch that again. He goes, so is it just Thunder Road with werewolves? I'm like, no, of course. Oh, shit, it is. You're not wrong. It is Thunder Road with werewolves, but why is that such a bad thing? Jim Cummings is once again playing a police officer with a lot of problems who talks a lot. So right there, different police officer with different problems who talks a lot in a slightly different way. His dad is the sheriff in this small town, Robert Forster, who's very sick, and he's going, please, will you go to the hospital, or please retire? I want to be in charge. And you've got Ricky Lindholm who is there from Garfunkel and Oates, amongst many
Mhm.
other things, who is there is sort of like another one of the officers who's been there as long as he has, and clearly the more competent one because he's had heavy problems with alcohol in the past. When we meet him, he's going to Alcoholics Anonymous. So he's like supposedly recovered, but he's got an ex-wife who he does not get along with at all, and a child together with her, which is always adds to the stress about 1 billion times.
He doesn't really get along with anybody. He's got some anger management issues, and of course, this horrendous murder happens on his watch. It looks to all the world like it's going to be a werewolf, and that's just something he can't cotton to. He doesn't want to believe. He wants to be the calm, rational, put together, has everything and is shit in a group, and he's not going to suffer any of this werewolf nonsense. And if you think you've seen that story 100 times before,
this is a different one.
Yeah, you probably have, but this is a different enough take that you're like, oh, I did not expect it to go there. And I don't want to spoil any of it either. But it really, I mean, judging by what I have heard of Thunder Road and what I kind of saw coming off the tomato meter on this, it's a character study. It's something that, it is a character study wrapped in a werewolf movie. And much like another Fantastic Fest title, oh God, now I'm going to blank on it. It wasn't Teddy. It was the other werewolf movie.
Oh, yes. I know it. We'll ask our guests as soon as they're here.
We're having them on here in a minute. And like that to me wasn't necessarily a werewolf movie either. That was more of a character study, and it was the werewolf movie and trope, and like that was a way to present the material that they were working with. Yeah. And I get a lot of that here. What I do have a criticism on, and maybe this is just me walking into this totally cold, I had no idea what I was getting into. It's tonally funny. And I don't mean like it's tonally haha funny, although it does have some very good haha moments. I mean, it's tonally unique, and it doesn't really commit to comedy. It doesn't really commit to maudlin. It's kind of trying to do that MASH middle ground thing where the thing that you were laughing at in the scene before this is now a very serious thing in this. And I don't know that it hit all the time, but it did hit more times than it didn't. And so by the time I got to the end of this, by the time I had realized what they're going for and that this is going to be kind of a give and take on the tonality, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I did too. It was a little confusing at first trying to figure out what are you making, because at first it is very much exactly what you expect from a werewolf film. You're like, oh great, it's Jim Cummings and he wants to do a werewolf movie, cool. And you're like, oh, it's hitting all the markers of a werewolf film. You're like, all right, cool, I know exactly what I'm in for. And hopefully, like, better actors maybe than a lot of some, there'll be something a little different. And when you like early on in the film, they full on show a werewolf, like very early in it. You're like, whoa, that's a full body werewolf. That is unexpected this early in the movie. What are you up to, film? It is indeed up to something. And there's a point where you realize how much more this is about Jim Cummings than it even is about the werewolf thing, but they never let that get out of balance. Like a lesser film would have forgotten about the werewolf thing completely for like 45 minutes and just focused on Cummings once his character really started to become interesting. This keeps that balance going, and as his stress level goes up, so do the killings. And there was a point I was like, it's got to be him, right?
And maybe it is.
Yeah, right. But I think this was really worth your time, even if you're not really a horror film fan. I don't think it's wildly gory.
No. I mean, a couple people get a limb taken off here and there, and there's a little spray of blood. But it was definitely, of the 3 werewolf movies that I watched that were Fantastic Fest adjacent this year, I believe this is the least gory.
Yes, I would say that is true as well. Yeah, did you see Possessor, which was the other film they had for Fantastic Fest that only played theaters?
No, I didn't. That was one of the ones I missed, unfortunately. I'm stuck in Wyoming. So.
Yeah, we did review it for the site. We have a review up for that one if you're interested. That's Brandon Cronenberg. which is David Cronenberg's son doing a very David Cronenberg-esque movie, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, I really liked what was his other Antiviral that played Fantastic Fest years ago.
I did too, quite a bit.
That was just like a super disturbing, high concept sci-fi body horror. Like it had a lot of working pieces, but they all came together and made a really nice machine.
Agreed. Well, we're going to bring in the first of our two guests right now, coming from the Chattanooga Film Festival and the Frightening Ass Film Fest, which, by the way, is coming up, the Frightening Ass Film Fest, October 30, 31st. You can go to faf.festivy.com to get tickets for that. But the head of that particular festival, of both those festivals, and all around a guy who appears to have all the same friends in common with me. So I'm like, how did I not know this guy before now? Chris Dortch. Hello, Chris.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the plug right out of the gate, too. Holy shit. Total pros. Yeah, I love that.
Well, I mean, it's coming up. It's a Halloween. It's called the Frightening Ass Film Fest. What else do you want to do for Halloween? Go to a horror film festival?
I really hope that people will spend it with us, honestly. We're pretty happy with what we put together for this year.
Awesome.
And what better way to celebrate Halloween when you're not supposed to go out and do anything than by staying in and watching some great festival programming?
That's true.
Man, I feel the same way. I don't think anybody on earth is going to let Halloween get canceled this year, and that's definitely not the case. But like finding something to make it special this year, and it was like number one on my priority list for sure.
And this festival has been going on since 2009, as long as Chattanooga Film Festival, right?
Yeah, it actually predates Chattanooga. And this is the event that sort of got me brave enough to try a full-scale film festival. So I had kind of started, my whole thing began as sort of a pop-up movie theater in Chattanooga. Chattanooga is a great town in a lot of ways, but we really left film in the dust. For everything that was happening with art and music in this city, there was nothing resembling independent film, nothing resembling genre film anywhere. And so I kind of had to start pop-up movie screenings. Any bar, restaurant, warehouse that would have me, we would throw films up and pay the license fees. And people were honestly great about it. And the audiences started to get a little bigger and trust in our programming a little more. And that led to me, wanting to do something for Halloween, which started the first ever Frightening Ass Film Festival, which was so named because I was in a really famous fried chicken joint we have in town called Champy's Fried Chicken. And I heard a very Southern gentleman pronounce a piece of chicken as a good ass piece of chicken. And I thought, all right, if that guy can have a good ass piece of chicken, then we can have a Frightening Ass Film Festival. And 10 fucking years later, we're stuck with it. But it's been a lot of fun to put together. And it honestly, it kind of factors into tonight's topic with you guys very well, because it really is what gave me, it was like my training wheels for trying Chattanooga. I was able to kind of, put a smaller festival together and realize that nothing really huge at least caught on fire, and that it seemed like something that I could take and expand upon. And it's one of those things that even after we started Chattanooga, people were like, yeah, but you're still going to keep doing the FAF on Halloween, right? We've got to have something for Halloween. And we're like, well, fuck, we're tired. But then, we didn't want to let Halloween go by without doing it either. Like, as soon as CFF is over every spring, it's kind of like this, postpartum depression where you kind of have to figure out what the hell to do with yourself now that your baby is out there in the world. And FAF is a nice little project to help me stave away that back end of the year depression for sure.
Well, Chattanooga Film Festival this year was kind of among the first that went virtual, but that crossed my radar anyway.
Same.
What were you part of that decision? How did that end up?
Well, hold on. Before we go there, I've got another guest sitting in our green room, and I want to bring him into the conversation. So yeah, we can hear you, Chris. We're going to bring in my good friend. He's been on the site before. He's one of the head programmers at Fantastic Fest.
I'm going to try to back out and back in and see if that makes a difference. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We can hear you though. Okay. We're bringing hello, Luke. Chris having some technical difficulties there.
Luke! Thanks for having me.
You look like you're having a real good time in there.
A great time. Having a great time.
No, it was a pun. I'm sorry. Nobody cared. They're all like, we're not acknowledging that terrible fucking pun, Chris, that dad joke.
Somewhere Brian Salisbury's ears perked up.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, he learned everything he knows from me, but then he evolved way past me. It's
Hey,
Chris
sorry about
again.
that.
Hello.
There's Chris.
Oh, look, Dortch is back.
You sound like you've said that before. in a
Exactly
variety
that
of
tone
settings.
of voice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to interrupt because I know Dortch was going to talk about CFF going virtual this year, and I think you're right, Trevor. It was definitely one of the first big ones, at least on my radar. So, tell us, Chris, how did that happen?
Honestly, it happened with a couple of phone calls from Microsoft that I believed were personal prank phone call. Like it was like a Nigerian prince scam that landed in my voicemail. I had a guy named Marco Rhoda call me and say, "Hey, I'm with Microsoft and I've read about your film festival and it sounds really cool. And I don't know if you guys are even going to try a virtual thing, but if you'd like to partner with Microsoft and try a thing, call me back." And I thought it had to be bullshit. Didn't call him back. And when he tried 2 additional times and on the 3rd time assured me that it wasn't a sales call, I got back in touch with him and realized that he had found me through a friend of the film festival and a terrific filmmaker, who, if you guys are familiar with 68 Kill, it's Troy, the director. We had played Cheap Thrills, his movie in year 1 of the festival, and something about what we'd done in Chattanooga meant enough to that guy that when Microsoft came to him looking for a festival that they could, have act as a guinea pig for them, they reached out to us. And honestly, we were on the day that we were about to announce our lineup for our physical edition when the pandemic hit. And so I had no belief that we would be able to rally. I thought we were dead in the water. Like we're the kind of festival that are like, we're allowed to continue every year because of the money that we raise at our event. Like the tickets that we sell is what creates the next event. And hopefully it's enough that we can kind of keep doing what we're doing on the scale that we're doing. And so I thought this was our last year. And honestly, when he told me I had 6 weeks to put another festival together, I didn't think that we could do it. But I really do feel like we managed, at least an approximation of what we do on the ground. And it seemed to bring a lot of joy to other folks too. And so I feel really good about it. And now it's been sort of a lot of fun to put the Frightening Asshole Fest together because it was sort of a brave new world. I mean, a territory that I went into the virtual edition not knowing which of the films that were part of my physical lineup were going to come along with me. And it's still a very scary thing for filmmakers and distributors, this virtual world. And, having a festival that was open to an audience in Tennessee now be open on a national scale is something that we really had to adjust to. So it's been a huge adjustment, but something that honestly is made me look at the way that we present the festival at all, and something I think I want to continue to try to incorporate going forward. That was a super long answer. Sorry.
And when the festival ended up going on in May, although it's usually in April for Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Now, Fantastic Fest was in September. I was worried. I know everybody was that we weren't going to get one. That's my local hometown festival. And you guys pulled together a live one as well. But I know you two, Chris and Luke, y'all know each other, have worked together before. Was there communication about, well, how are we going to go forward with this, especially in terms of special events, which was something when I heard y'all were doing, like there would be online, virtual, interactive events. I'm like, what? But you did it, and it was great.
They worked.
So,
We're dooming ourselves by using all these words in the same sentence for sure. But again, that's the part of it. And your hometown being Fantastic Fest, for my money, there's no festival in the world that does that better than Fantastic Fest. And that interactivity, that sense of community, the chaos of those live events, that's something that I having participated in the virtual edition that you guys just did, I think that came together very well. And that's the thing that's the hardest to sacrifice when you're making this change to digital and to virtual. And that was the thing that, like, if we just presented it, and keep in mind at this point South by Southwest had just done the Amazon deal, and again, I'm glad that those films were able to find any outlet to see the light of day. But when that happened and it was a bunch of VOD tiles, just like every other thing on Prime, it felt like, gosh, this juggernaut that is South by Southwest has been reduced to this year. What can we do to try to find something that makes it still feel like the community is there. Because
Yeah.
Fantastic Fest, you guys have all been in that lobby at South Lamar. That place just buzzes, and the community and the conversations that are taking place, in the halls outside of the movies is that festival as much as the films and the incredible programming. And to me, we try to, do our own, Diet Pepsi version of that at Chattanooga as much as we can. And that was something that we didn't want to sacrifice. And there's a filmmaker named Tim Rice and his crew at a company called Media Team they've had multiple films in our festival over the years. And they just were the first call I made when I wanted to try to figure out how to translate this and do that. And I think it worked. We turned a gentleman named Shane Morton, who created the Cheddar Goblin for the movie Mandy. That would be how you guys might know him, into kind of our own little horror host for CFF. And he's, everything he did on the ground there sort of made this incredible atmosphere around things, and it was just so filled with joy. We're bringing it back for Halloween now. He's like part of our family at this point, so it's been really cool to try to adapt this. I've had a lot of fun doing it.
Sorry, go ahead, Trevor.
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna gush and say that I really loved the Surviving the Game Ice-T Q&A.
Oh God, that
was amazing.
Just in the studio with our jaws on the floor. That guy is such a legend, man. We could have talked to him for like 5 hours and never run out of stories.
To answer your question, Chris, we did. Yeah, like Chris and I were talking constantly about like, oh, what are you guys doing? With Fantastic Fest still being a little farther out and not having really made a decision yet about what we were going to do. We were very curious to see what Chris and his team pulled off, and I think what they did with an in-studio kind of home base and a horror host and Bubs, like it was such a cool vibe, and I think they just did a really impressive job of trying to create a sense of community around everything. And so that was, obviously something we were looking at. And I mean, obviously we landed on Scener and tried to bring some of that with Feud and all of our live events and having the chat going. And, I don't know if you guys have seen Nightstream, but they have this platform called Gather, which is like a little 8-bit kind of bar scene interactive thing. So everybody's definitely, giving it thought and trying new things. It's the Wild West, and we're all just trying to figure it out.
It really is, man.
I was describing it the other day because we're all old enough that we've seen the internet grow and evolve. But man, one of the biggest spikes I've ever seen has been since the beginning of COVID, because everyone's like, we got to be the ones making the best video streaming software. We've got to be the best, because Zoom comes out, makes $1 trillion, and everyone's like, what just happened? Fuck, let's do our own thing. And some guy is going, well, why can't we do that when people are watching a movie together? Why didn't we think of that shit? Everybody get on that now. And I love it. It's been exciting watching it evolve. Like, I use this company StreamYard that I like quite a bit, but who knows what's going to happen next month? And I was going to say, did Ice-T answer every question at the end of it with, it's not personal, it's just business? Because that would have been great.
That's the world I want to live in too. Yeah,
exactly. So we've talked a little bit about the technology and like jumping into that and trying to recapture the energy of your fests using the technology, which I did not attend Chattanooga, although I'll tell you, after hearing all the responses this year from what y'all did, that's how I first became aware of you, was this year's virtual. Everyone was raving about it, going, oh my God, it was so good. I'll definitely be attending in future years. But
that's great.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. And, Chattanooga's not that far away if, we ever have normal world again.
You can totally drive it.
Dude, clearly, Chris, do not live in central Wyoming, because I have been trying to get to the Chattanooga Festival for a couple of years now, and it's just, I am like in the worst place in America to try and get to Chattanooga.
Yeah,
and
we have the airport time forgot here too. It's like this guy has to be the best airport for smuggling babies in the nation. There's like tumbleweeds blowing through it. Like, it's a strange place. It's probably a little difficult to fly into from Wyoming. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, with everything going on, I was going to get on a plane. I figured I'd just zombie land this bitch, you know, get in the car, pack it with all my Texas guns, to just hit the road, brother.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So now everything obviously changed with y'all must have had a setup well ahead of time for these are the films we're going to have this year. And with this happening and not live, I'm sure you had lots of people go, I'm sorry, we just can't present our films online.
Tons. Yeah.
So what was the scramble? What was the solution to that scramble? How did you go? Who went,
you know, like,
this is what we're going to do.
Like Luke said himself, it's very much the Wild West. It's still the Wild West. In putting together another event for October, the ball game I'm playing now is even completely different than it was back in May, because now with a few other virtual events under their belt, there's a lot more restriction on this content, and we're all kind of figuring out what the sweet spots are, you know, and it was, you know, it went from having essentially like a 40 film lineup to having maybe a third of my movie still with me. And, you know, a lot of other people who were going to world premiere and things, very afraid of how that was going to affect distribution, you know, and also, you know, we didn't want to be the ones who got anyone's film pirated. We didn't want to be anyone that, you know, oversaturated a movie that might have had a niche, you know, response. And so it becomes those things where we wanted to lean into the accessibility of doing it this way, which is, you know, we're a festival in Chattanooga. Before, you had to come from wherever the hell you were. Suddenly we get a chance to be on this national spotlight, and it made sense to try to make it as accessible as we could, but still figure out what some intelligent limitations could be to limit piracy, which thankfully we didn't have any of, but that was one of those things that we were just, you know, shitting our pants about the entire time. And thankfully had Microsoft on board for that and for FAF this year to, you know, kind of help us, you know, police things. But it really, it's a brave new world. There were a lot of filmmakers that weren't willing to take that journey. Some films, funny enough, that didn't work out for CFF back in May due to those early fears have now worked out and are on the lineup of Frightening Ass Film Festival. So things have worked out, but there's also some things that we're just we're playing ball with them a little differently. For example, there are some films that if you live in Tennessee, you'll get to see that, you know, you won't get to see, unfortunately, on the national scale. And rather than just turn those films down altogether, if I could make sure that at least somebody could have a chance to see them, I wanted to do it. But there's also a couple of things that'll be available only for certain time windows, which Fantasia did a really fantastic virtual edition where they sort of started to figure out these other ways of presenting things that maybe a distributor might have had some trepidation and not wanted 10,000 people to see it, you know. But if you say, hey, you know, the same 500 people will see it, you know, virtually as would have seen it on the ground with us, and put things in those terms and can sort of, you know, put geo restrictions in place, that's allowed us to get some even bigger titles for FAF this time around. So it really has, it's constantly evolving. And I think it, you know, like I said, we plan on, you know, keeping some virtual component going forward. I think even by this time next year, it'll be completely different. It really will.
Yeah, I mean, the virtual component is really great. You know, I think every fest, I know us included, have had people say, you know, we always wanted to come, but we couldn't for whatever reason. We couldn't get off work. It was too far to travel. It was too much money to put ourselves up and get badges and everything. But now with a virtual event, you know, it takes a lot of those restrictions away. And so, you know, it's one of those things that I feel like from the outside, it's maybe hard to realize this if you haven't been part of running a festival. But one of the main things that you have to do is balance the needs of your audience with the needs of your filmmakers. And so that's doubly true now, where it's like, you know, before, like Chris was saying, you had a whole network of regional festivals that didn't really have to worry if something had already played, you know, in Los Angeles. You know, if Chris is in Chattanooga, it's like, who cares? Like, the audience here in Chattanooga wants to see it. But now if something premieres in Los Angeles, but it's available all through the United States, you know, now it's like, is there still an audience to show it at a regional festival? And so there are all these different concerns where you're like, and with, you know, piracy and the amount of people that can see things, like, you want to just try and balance it so that that you're doing right by the film while still offering your audience something new and cool. So there's just there's a lot of concerns that go into it, and a lot of trying to make everyone happy, which is often a fool's errand. But that's the job.
Every year it's a fool's errand, Luke. Every fucking year.
all Luke's friends like me coming up to him drunkenly. Hey man, what the fuck? I was supposed to do this, but this. It's over here, dumbass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Try to help everyone. It's all good.
So I'm really curious because y'all put a lot of work into making this whole thing virtual, and I feel like it worked great. Everyone's raving about the way you put it together. Is anyone now going, well, even if things are back to normal next year, maybe we should offer a pay online version of the festival as well for certain films?
Man,
it's.
Go ahead. Sorry, Luke. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was, it's definitely something we're thinking about. And like I was saying, it's all about trying to balance, filmmaker needs versus audience needs. And so, maybe that's something we can do. We really saw an uptick in shorts this year where I feel like at a lot of fests, like even if you like shorts, like if you have the option of shorts versus like 3 films that you may never see, a lot of people are going to pick films every time. And so with a schedule this year that didn't require people to make choices between different things, I think a lot of people saw our shorts packages for the first time and were like, holy shit, the shorts are really great. And so, I think maybe going forward, having our shorts packages available virtually, if we can get filmmakers on board with that, may be, a good way to kind of pull some audience in.
Yeah, the shorts thing is a really good point. We had so many people reach out and say that they, in a single weekend of having it virtually presented, had their short seen or talked about more times on social media in a weekend than they'd seen in like a year on the festival circuit. And, you start seeing things like that. And we got a lot of email from people who said, I loved attending, or I loved meeting Joe Dante. Like words like attending and meeting that made it seem like to them, this experience was very real. It wasn't virtual. It didn't matter that they weren't in the same room. They still felt plugged into it. And also some folks that reached out that were disabled and differently abled, that this was their first time ever getting to experience a film festival, for fear of being trampled, for inability to travel, for a lot of different reasons. And seeing that we, as a festival that prides ourselves on kind of the warmth and inclusion of what we do, it was really great to get that feedback at the end of the rainbow.
Right on. Now, above and beyond what has gone different, I'm really curious to know, because I just don't know. Even as long as I've known Luke, it's hard to get a word out of him at a festival because he's like, I'm kind of busy. But and he lives like 4 blocks from me, but but
it's amazing when you live in Austin how little you see Luke.
Dude, my mother was on the phone with me the other day. She lives way away, and she's like, I haven't seen you in like a year. I was like, Mom, there's people who live like blocks from me I haven't seen in a year.
Yeah, FAF is like my second public appearance of the year, and it's right back to the hidey hole. So, yeah.
Exactly. But let's say, all right, the festival's over. You've reached the end of your responsibilities of stuff that you do directly related to that festival. So the conversation begins for the following year's festival. How does that start, and what is the process of doing that?
I think for me, for me, it is honestly, there are festivals that I know are so perfectly and wonderfully curated, like Fantastic Fest, that a big part of my goal after my festival is over is not just, putting my blinders on, but paying attention to what the other great festivals in the back half of the year are doing, and also trying to have an open dialogue with those programmers. Luke is a person that every year, I think without fail, Luke, and I'm sure you can back me up on this, I reach out to you and I'm like, what have you seen? What do you love? Because I know Luke has amazing taste. I know what his taste has done for Fantastic Fest. And I know that he's going to put something in my hands that I might not have heard of, that I will love myself and get then potentially a chance to share it with my own audience. And so I think, and it may be different outside of the genre film festival world, but the network of friends and fellow programmers that I have, even within Fantastic Fest, because Logan has certainly been, Evram as well, like, such a great source of advice and information for me. So it really becomes about studying what other festivals are doing well and keeping an eye on the films and filmmakers that, for example, I discovered the filmmaker Mickey Reese because of the programming at Fantastic Fest. And that relationship and loving Mickey's work led us to being able to world premiere Climate of the Hunter at CFF, in May this year, not maybe. So it really winds up being a lot of things like that for us. It never really stops. The engine is always at least going at a low rate.
Yeah, it's definitely a year-round job. But like Chris said, we sort of do the same thing. We sit down, we have kind of a post-mortem to go over what went right, what went wrong, what we'd like to do more of, what we'd like to try and fix for next year. And so, we definitely go over that pretty quickly after the fest is over while it's still fresh in our mind. We send out, a survey to all of our badge holders, and we go through that feedback really carefully to see, what our audience is telling us that they liked and didn't like. And so we take that really seriously. And yeah, like Chris said, we're definitely looking at other festivals to see, what they're doing and talking to other programmers. We love all the guys over at Nightstream and the different festivals that make that up. And so I know I've been doing a bunch of Nightstream stuff this weekend, checking out what they're doing. And yeah, Chris and I talk all the time about different titles, and I talk to programmers at all kinds of different festivals because, there's so many films out there, in a normal year, we program like 70 films, and there are oftentimes films that for whatever reason don't end up in our program, but that I still like and would love to see get a place somewhere. And so, I'm very much of the idea that, we all, what's the expression about ships all rising to, if the water comes up, we all rise together. I very much think
couldn't agree more.
It's it only behooves us to be friendly with each other and to be talking about this stuff. There's no reason to be, competitive or antagonistic to one another. We're all in the same boat here. We all want to do right by the filmmakers. We all want to find great films and expose our audience to them. And so we all have the same goal. We should all try and work together towards it. That's my opinion.
This is the moment where if I was really fun, I would have hooked up a bunch of jigsaw shit in both your houses and be like, but now that that's said, one will live, one will die. Who will choose?
I don't want to play a game. I don't want to.
While you're playing, you get to be the shoe. So, but you talked about seeing films at other festivals. How many submissions must you have to look through for stuff that hasn't actually played a festival when you're like, well, we want to be the first one to play a lot of this stuff. I know at Fantastic Fest for sure. A lot of stuff I see, this is the world premiere. That didn't come from seeing it at another festival. So how does that stuff happen?
Yeah, premiere status is important. It's weird. It's definitely it's something you need to consider and something you want. It definitely puts eyes on your festival and helps you grow as a festival, and that's important because then you can offer that clout to filmmakers and like Dortch was saying about Mickey Reese, we certainly weren't the first festival, but I think we were maybe one of the bigger festivals to play a Mickey Reese title. And I don't want to toot our own horn too much, but I feel like in a lot of ways we sort of put him on the larger festival landscape. And so that's why it's important to be able to have that, that clout, and that comes from premiere status. To answer your question, we are constantly talking to sales agents. We're going after films. We obviously have submissions, and submissions are very important. Even if it's not a film that other festivals haven't necessarily seen. I think Tigers Are Not Afraid is a great example of a film that was just in our submission pile that had gotten rejected from a lot of other festivals. And at that point, one of our programmers, Noah Lee, was running our submissions team. Well, the team was basically Noah. He was watching almost all of our submissions by himself because he's a beast. But he pulled that one out and was like, guys, this is really, really good. And that's so important to have, a good screening team that can recognize that talent and be like, hey, this is something you guys should look at. And so, I'm really thankful to him because I think that was a huge title for us. And then, funnily enough, went on to play a bunch of festivals after that. And I think probably some that had rejected it already. But it did so well with us that they were able to parlay that into a long festival run, and it's a great film. It really is.
I love it.
But there's a lot of work that goes into trying to find those titles. We have a previous relationship with producers and directors, and we're constantly talking to them, and are really thankful when they reach out and they're like, "Hey, I've got a new project," or "My buddy has a project. You guys should check this out." I'm sure Dortch can speak to this too.
I was going to say the relationship with filmmakers over the years, and not just in the year that they're playing with us, is a huge deal. Because these people are going back out and creating again and again and again, and they're bringing their work to us. So it becomes this kind of self-perpetuation engine a little bit. When we started, we were kind of begging for every scrap we could get, and over the years, CFF just is about to turn 8. The number of submissions that we've gotten has literally quadrupled in over the years, and it's honestly humbling how much is coming in our door versus us having to chase it down versus the way it was in the past.
So it's like those hits, like Luke talked about, like Tigers Are Not Afraid, or just more connections or whatever. It just sort of snowballs, and the better you're doing, the better you're going to do, is what you're saying. And
you kind of build up your brand or whatever, and people recognize that. Just like you started hearing about Chattanooga this year because they were doing so well with the virtual event, like that reverberates, that echoes out into the industry, and people start hearing about it and go, "Oh, I've Chattanooga's now a festival I've heard of, and I've heard they do cool stuff. I would like to submit my film to them, or I would like to talk to them about maybe playing my film there." So and like Chris said, it's very much about keeping those relationships with filmmakers past just the 1 year that they play with you, because they're going to do something else, and you liked their first work enough to play it. Like, you want to keep a good relationship with them. You want to keep reaching out and making them part of the family, so that when they have something else, they can be like, "Oh, maybe you guys would like to check this out." It's to us, it feels very much like a family.
Yeah, I'm always surprised how much so filmmakers who've been there, who I met there for the first time, are now almost become weird icons and fully indulge as part of this larger culture that keeps growing out. But I've been dominating the question asking. Trevor, you go to a lot of festivals. You must have some specific questions about this sort of thing you always wanted to know.
I think part of what I have seen attempted and what I would love to see more of, and especially in a time where people are a little cagey about whether or not they want to let their movie out there, is I've seen a couple of festival darlings that played festivals years ago that never got distribution, and they're getting programmed at this festival and that festival, which I think is fantastic. It's like, oh my God, finally another chance to see, name of a movie escapes me, but something like Mila Croze or
Boy and a Samurai.
Boy and a Samurai, Love and Peace. I would love a chance to see those, and I think these virtual festivals are a fantastic way to really at least get those movies watched, if they can't get distributed. So if there's something I want to stump for, that would be it. But my question, I guess, would be, when it comes to those retrospective screenings, when it comes to programming things that people may have seen before or heard about, and Luke, I know you guys did this at Fantastic Fest this year. Like, what kind of balancing act is that?
I mean, ultimately, it's in a normal year, I think we try, generally speaking, and we're not hard on these numbers, but we'd like to have maybe 10 to 15% of our 70-ish films be retro titles. And so in a year when we're playing like 12, it gets, I think we had 2 or 3 maybe this year. But we also were definitely looking, like you were saying, like Fantasia did sort of a big retro section and had Mila Croze, which still hasn't gotten a U.S. release. And I think with a little more time, maybe we could have tried to track down some of those rights from sales agents and gotten maybe, some stuff like Boy and a Samurai. One thing we did do that I'm really proud of is we released a 6-pack of Mickey Reese titles that really haven't been available at all. And so I think that's a cool thing that people can go on Alamo On Demand and rent some of his previous work. And one of the titles that's in there that I really love is this movie called Alien. That's all about Elvis Presley.
Perfect. I love it so much. Yeah.
So I highly recommend that. George, you want to talk about retros? You already said, the surviving the game was just A+ work.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like I really feel like there needs to be this balance of not just, love for whatever's brand new and shiny, but love for the things that brought us all here in the first place. And I've always, this is a shitty metaphor and you'll excuse me, but like I've always thought of CFF as kind of like, as a guy who's worked at so many video stores in my life, as like my staff pick shelf at the video stores and over time, what I see is that no matter what film I would put on that shelf, if I were putting things out there that I loved myself, the audience, the people who were coming in to rent, kind of grew to trust me. And so a lot of times when a title, a rep title is put into the context of being something special and unique that you really, and also I love the idea of promoting film like punk rock shows, this one night only kind of attitude about it. And, I think that having rep titles as part of even Frightening Ass Film Festival has allowed us to kind of, that's the kind of programming that, like, when you see Tammy and the T-Rex with Fantastic Fest crowd, that's where that movie comes alive. And how the hell do you translate that to the virtual space? Well, you kind of lean into those things like Gather, or those things, like even Microsoft Teams that we use allows that chat function and those watch parties to kind of happen. So that camaraderie doesn't get lost in the shuffle. And for us, even though I do have a lot of brand new things, I'm also doing quite a bit of retro stuff for Frightening Ass. Like, we're doing Sting of Death, which is a William Griffey movie that's incredible, that was also at Fantasia a little while ago. But I don't know that many horror fans are familiar with William Griffey yet, and Arrow has just put together this unbelievable box set of his films. And to me, it's kind of one of the funnest of his movies, and I hope something that'll give people enough context for his work that they'll really go down the rabbit hole and find a lot of other great stuff to watch. So I feel like we have a responsibility, like Luke was saying, to strike that balance.
Arrow, like, low key totally snuck up and became the criterion of like genre filmmaking.
Couldn't agree more.
Like,
I think we've all publicly said it on one social media platform or another. We're working with them on FAF when they told me they were doing this gorgeous like 4K restoration of Tremors. I'm like, who do I send a fruit basket to over there? Like, they're crushing it.
Totally. So moving on from festivals, and to wrap the show up, I want to know, and this is with the Codicil, these guys both run film festivals, so they're probably not going to mention stuff that's fresh from their festivals, because then that says they preferred that over other films that played their festivals.
Well, Dortch, man, I don't know. I just felt like I didn't want to play favorites, or I don't want to think of playing favorites.
No, that is completely reasonable.
I think we had a great lineup. Our lineup's great. So is Dortch's.
I liked every movie that y'all played at the fest. So but it's understandable why you would say that. So, like, don't be disappointed, people who are watching who had films at the festival, that he doesn't mention one of them because he doesn't want to make anybody, he didn't want you to know all his secrets.
He loves all of his children equally.
Yes.
But the idea being is, what are your big October Halloween month? Why haven't we just changed the name to Halloween month at this point? Just call it Halloween, like the whole month. But what are your big recommendations? You're like, this is stuff. I mean, I'm not talking about like, The Thing or something. I'm talking about like stuff that maybe Halloween people haven't heard of. That shush you. I didn't hear enough of that Halloween when I had Brian Salisbury here. But
George,
Chris,
you want to go first, or?
Gosh, man, I was hoping you would go first. So
okay, I'll go first. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll go first. I actually just pulled Shudder's page up to be like, let's see.
Scare Me off the barrelhead. If we're talking about new Shudder titles, Scare Me is a terrific movie that, especially I think, as people have now fallen in love with the performance that Aya Cassius gave on The Boys, on the second season of The Boys. She does a great job, and it's a great movie about, telling scary stories, and kind of keeps the tradition of telling classic campfire stories alive in a fun way. And I think Shudder are just killing it. Like, you can subscribe to Shudder, if you haven't, and just your entire October is saved on the strength of what they have this year.
Yeah, we love those guys, and I will second Chris's recommendation for Scare Me. I don't know that it's necessarily scary. People always talk about, like, is a movie scary or not? I don't know that it's necessarily a scary movie, but it's such a great psychological movie. Like, it's to me, it's frightening or scary because you're never really sure what anyone's motivations are. I feel like they're really cagey with, who's doing what and why, and it's very much a character piece of these two people, telling each other scary stories, and then Chris Red shows up randomly, but it's great. It's great.
Yeah,
It is so random, and that's the high point of the whole film. Is like the three of them, and it turns into a musical, and even you're going like, what is happening right now? I think Trevor, you and I reviewed that together, didn't we?
Yes.
I think so. It's hard to remember, man. If it's been more than a week, the little janitor in my mind's like, okay, get that out of there. Time for the next batch. There's a lot. You're right, though. Shudder is the place to go. I haven't checked out Arrow's new channel. They have a streaming service
Oh, man,
as well.
it's terrific. They're really like, again, the Criterion parallels are like the Arrow streaming service's Halloween offering, comparing it to the Criterion Halloween channel was something I was doing earlier today, and just be like, man, Arrow are just lapping the shit out of them. It's like, it's crazy. But I think that's like, you can get a free month of that and be set for the month and be great. There's some indie stuff that's kind of, to me at least, flown under the radar. I think Relic is a really great movie that's out on VOD right now, and very heartbreaking movie. Would weirdly make a good double feature with like The Taking of Deborah Logan. If somebody wanted to kind of explore the horror of dementia and things like that. But also The Rental, Dave Franco's movie that IFC Midnight put out a couple weeks back, I thought was a pretty solid thriller. There's been some good stuff. Some things that we're playing at Frightening Ass Film Festival, kind of offering bonus screenings of them, even though they are out on VOD, just because I want as many people as possible to run across these movies, are She Dies Tomorrow, Amy Simons' film, and Lucky, which Bria Grant and Natasha Kermani made, and I think it's just an awesome movie. So those are more things that I hope people will discover this month. And I mean, depending on kind of the type of movies that people want, we have a kind of a very, to me, what feels like an indie riff on The Changeling, a movie called The Strings that's coming that I think is really, really cool, and some things that are a little more under the radar. There's a movie I can't wait to share called Sister Tempest that this filmmaker Joe Baden calls it a mix between Mulholland Drive, Zardoz, and Holy Mountain. And I think
I love all three of those things.
Yeah, this thing is fucking just like and look, this is something Peter Poplowski put on my radar that I just like. I don't know what planet this film is from, but I want to live there. Like, it's
I'm already
amazing.
not high enough for that one.
Yeah, no, none of us are high enough, but we all can be, and we can enjoy it together. So,
No, if I had been 14 years old and seen this movie, I would have just died. Because all those movies are like the movies that I was like, these are the reasons I joined the Church of the Subgenius,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was going to say as well, Bria Grant having a great month. She just directed the movie 12-Hour Shift with Angela Bettis from May, and people are raving about that movie, saying it's fantastic. I have not gotten a chance to see it, but now I'm like, damn it, now's another one I have to see.
It should be coming out soon, I think.
Yeah.
She's also in The Stylist that we just played.
Indeed.
So she's in that. She wrote Lucky and starred in Lucky, and then directed 12-Hour Shift. So yeah, she's just having an incredible year.
I don't know. So I was like, is Chris gonna scare us? If we can do that thing where we get real close to the screen. What is that?
Oh, she's what is God, there's a show on the CW that she's directing episodes of too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's a good year. It's a good year to be Bria Grant.
Yeah,
for sure it is. For sure,
she is totally sweet too. She did a film with my friend Philip Guzman, and she was terrific. Just so nice, so good on there. Sorry, Chris. I was like, what is happening with Chris?
Sorry,
you're back. It's great. We were just talking about how awesome Brea is.
Did you guys see The Beach House on Shudder?
I love The Beach House. We showed it in May, and that's another movie that I really I've been pushing as many people as I can to, especially like good pandemic horror. I think there was a moment where everybody was like, let's watch Outbreak again. And like, it's nice to have something else to hand them.
Yeah.
That doesn't have quite so much
that.
Dustin Hoffman. Yeah.
That was like Outbreak movie. It reminded me of Shivers, kind of.
Oh, big time. Absolutely.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Vestron just, somebody's re-releasing Vestron Blu-ray.
I had a delightful little double feature of that and their Little Monsters release.
Me too.
I was like, what a double feature this wound up being.
Not two films that ever should have been back to back, but
No.
what the hell?
Way
No.
more
As
Howie
Jack Burton
Mandel
always
than has
says.
ever orbited Cronenberg. Yeah.
Now, y'all both played this one, and this, I think, might end up, just because it's been such a weird fucking year anyway, might be my favorite thing I've seen all year, short or feature. But you, each individually, I think Fantastic Fest played it last year, and then Chris, I think, Chat played it this year, was the short, The Haunted Swordsman. The
so
Kevin
awesome.
McTurk puppet film that just, like, I was so glad that it was an on-demand thing at Chatfest because I could watch it 3 or 4 times and just grok, and it just really stapled my eyebrows to my hairline. And just
Do you grok it in fullness now?
I do.
Good. Yeah,
Kevin's a
amazing.
filmmaker I discovered because of Fantastic Fest. I had seen his previous short and kind of been indoctrinated into his world at Fantastic Fest. And so, like, that's a guy that whatever he does henceforth, like, I'm sure I speak for Fantastic Fest too, I'm just pre-signed up for. Like, love that.
Oh yeah, we're all in on Kevin McTurk stuff. Well, and he does, like, it's so detailed and so intricate. Like the work that he puts in is just unbelievable.
And then there's like another film I saw at Fantastic Fest that's now Arrow is releasing it, so I assume it's going to be on their channel, which is the Addams Families, not the one just John Addams and his partner and his daughter all make movies together, and their big breakout hit was The Deeper You Dig, which played at Fantastic Fest.
Really
Arrow
cool
is now releasing that in a really great Blu-ray. It's just a wonderful little indie ghost story that does the opposite of what ghost stories usually do, where usually it's like, if it's a murder, Mr. Who Killed Me type of thing, it's the ghost talking to the person doing the hunting. In this case, the ghost is just totally letting the murderer have it. And it's wonderful.
It really is. And that bless Arrow for putting that into good context for people too, because the story of how that movie is made is just like makes it even more special when you watch it.
And they even threw in another one of their features as a bonus on the
I
discs.
didn't realize. That's awesome.
Yeah, the one where it's like, I'm blanking on the name right now, but where it's like soldiers and like Civil War.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, one of them dies and teams up with a little girl whose parents were murdered to wreak haunted revenge. They quote the Bible a bit too much for my taste because everything in my house kept catching on fire. But
not again.
I know. You're always like, I gotta mute it. Fuck.
Oh, here we go.
I mean, the cats for sure. But all right, last recommendations, and we'll wrap this up.
Oh man, I this is gonna be like way too mainstream, but I hadn't watched Candyman in years, and I put the Arrow Blu-ray in the other day, and I think more than anything, it was the score that just really rocked me, man.
That
I
score,
think
man.
Glass,
it's so eerie. It's
holy
incredible.
Shit, man! Like, it just blew me away, and I was just so enamored with that movie again. I think I watched it a couple of times on VHS when I was a kid, and I was aware of it in the periphery of my horror knowledge, but not something I could like quote regularly like Halloween or anything. And I think for me that's going to be a new staple of my Halloween watching. I
had the same experience,
awesome.
Luke. I saw it when I was like much younger. Went, yeah, it was fine. And then I watched it a couple years ago when it got re-released, and I was like, we were doing it for our horror show, and I was like, all right, I remember this just being okay. But then I was like, what the fuck? How did I not have this on my list of all-time classics? This movie is great.
Yeah, it's a banger, 100%. And it's crazy. I a couple of months ago, I had read this article where somebody who wrote an article back in the late 80s, early 90s, had like realized that some of the elements from some things that actually happened in the Cabrini Green projects in Chicago had made their way into Candyman. And so the current article was kind of looking back at the old article and kind of putting it in context, because the whole idea of Candyman coming in through the mirror, that shit happened. Like, there was a lady that was murdered in the projects by someone coming in through the window because the mirrors were so close.
Joined the medicine cabinets. And
like that shit really happened, and that just that blew my mind.
Man, early on in the pandemic, just because it's about to go out of print, I revisited and got my hands on Scream Factory's release of the sequel, Bill Condon's Farewell to the Flesh. And that has got some atmosphere and really uses the hell out of New Orleans in a way that I don't think that many horror films do. And I think it's pretty good, honestly. And
totally. It's funny because after I did the same thing. Like, I went down the rabbit hole, so I watched 2 and 3.
Can't quite get there with 3. That's okay. Good to see Tony Todd.
Yeah, Tony Todd sticking around. Like, 3 is maybe not super great. You know, I was entertained watching all of them, and 3 is sort of that, like, you know, I want to say it's like mid to late 90s or maybe early 2000s, like sort of schlocky. Yeah, it's sort of schlocky direct to video. But yeah, 2 was actually pretty impressive in doing sort of its own thing and has that amazing set piece at the end.
Oh, that's with the flooded, like the slave quarter.
Yeah, where the house is like sinking. Like, it's
so terrifying. Really, really cool.
I just saw an ad for Tales from the Hood 3, and it's just basically going, well, Tony Todd, you like Tony? He's here.
I do want to say I love Tales from the Hood. Like, Tales from the Hood has I have a soft place in my heart for that movie. I remember I was at like a sleepover at somebody's house in like the 6th grade, and we like their parents didn't care, and that was like the box on the shelf that all of us wanted to rent because it was, you know, it was the skull, but the VHS box had like a foil thing over the skull, so it like shined and reflected, and it was literally like a beacon to, like, you know, 11-year-old Luke.
Really?
And we just, oh my god, I think we literally watched it like 3 times that night. It was something special. I have traded it out for Jedi right now, but I have the one sheet up in my office.
That's awesome.
That is
I haven't watched 2 or 3, but the original Tales from the Hood is a stone cold classic.
I agree. It's goofy, but in the best possible way.
I also think Darren Scott is kind of a treasure, and especially for other horror fans, it's great to see horror films made by horror fans. And that guy's like dyed in the wool. I met him through Jeff Burr, who made Leatherface, and Darren is just such a cool dude and teaches a lot of kids filmmaking and does things like that. So I've actually I've got Tales from the Hood 3 on pre-order, and it should be showing up in a day or 2. So I'll give you the report on that one.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, Chris, did you have a final pick?
You know, I'll go with since Luke dropped a deep cut. I'll give you an old deep cut, but then I'll give you a new cut just real fast. Bernard Rose, who made Candyman, has a really terrific film called Paper House that not a lot of folks know about it. Very spooky, very atmospheric, about a little girl that's kind of slipping in and out of life and death. And I believe it's on Prime right now. And that's not a really easy movie to track down. It's not on DVD. It's not really in print in any other place that I know of. And that's a movie that I always try to put in the hands of people who say they liked what Bernard Rose did with Candyman. The dude just nails atmosphere. But then for a newer indie title, I have to give it back to Fantastic Fest and Shudder. Saw one of the first movies I saw at my last on-the-ground Fantastic Fest experience was Jay Baruchel's Random Acts of Violence, which to me is a really fun modern-day take on a slasher with some pretty fucking brutal, mean-spirited ass kills at its core. And I think it's well worth a look on Shudder.
Actually, you know what? I will throw one more out if I could, and it's also on Shudder because Shudder picks up all kinds of stuff. But there was this title, I know it was on the fest circuit. I'm not sure where it played exactly, but it's called Spiral. Not to be confused with
it's awesome.
The Book of Saw. But yeah, Spiral is about this African-American guy and his white male partner. So they're a gay couple that like move to a new house, and they have like the white guy has a daughter from a previous marriage. It's a daughter, right? I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's a terrific, it gets compared a lot, or like people are kind of calling it like a same-sex version of Get Out in some ways. Like that's the comparison. I've seen it a lot. That director, Curtis David Harder, is one of the producers of Harpoon, too, another
nice
movie. Yeah,
I like Harpoon a lot too. Let's throw out Harpoon.
Too. Yeah, Spiral's awesome. That's definitely another good one.
But yeah, like they move to a new town, and the neighbors start getting a little weird, and you know it takes place in like the early 90s, I want to say, and so the African American guy is like sort of feeling out of place, and you know he's trying to explain it to his partner, who's not really sure that he's you know reading the situation correctly, and it goes to some pretty crazy places. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that one. It's another one on my Shudder account that I have
gotten to your list on Shudder.
Yeah, fortunately, we review a lot of their stuff ahead of time, so I'm like, I have to watch it, but I can't see everything. So that was one of the ones that was like, that went to the other crew, and I was like, damn it, if I could, I'd just review it all. I always have to say, because I talk about Shudder so goddamn much, I swear they're not paying me. I just really like Shudder.
None of us on their actual payroll.
We're not on the AMC payroll. But I think they just added the Exorcism movie that we played last year, The Cleansing Hour.
They did. Awesome. That's
more of a.
And the mortuary room,
polished exorcism.
The mortuary collection is coming out. The mortuary collection is one of the better horror anthologies I've seen in decades, man. And also Scare Package, a lot of fun.
Agreed. Trevor, do you have a final pick?
You know what? I'm going to throw it back to an old Fantastic Fest favorite, and since we're just plugging Shudder unashamedly, this is a Shudder exclusive, I believe. Maddie Doe's Dearest Sister.
Oh, nice.
Is
Maddie forever.
Yes, super intelligent, very smart, very creepy, functional ghost story that has a lot to say. There's a lot of class commentary in there. It's really well constructed, well made. Maddie Doe is a delight and an inspiration, and more people need to see that movie.
Yeah, agreed. And her follow-up film as well.
The Long Walk,
Long Walk.
Great.
Yeah, I like both of them, but The Long Walk connected with me where I was like, went up to her to talk to her about it and started crying in the middle of talking to her.
I get
she gave me a hug. I was like, oh God. All right. So my recommendation, y'all are going to hate me. All right. I'm just going to say it because there's a lot of people who shit all over everyone shits all over the remake of The Haunting. You know what? That movie is fun. I don't care what you say.
Yeah,
I hear people all the time shitting on like who are promoting like the remake of the Haunting of Hell House and fucking Ghost Ship, and I'm like, these movies, what the fuck? They're like, oh, I love those movies. They're like, and you're gonna shit on me for liking The Haunting? It's got Liam Neeson in it.
Regardless of what you think of Ghost Ship, like that opening sequence is pretty bad.
It's perfect. Yeah.
No, top 5 decapitations of all time, no question.
But The Haunting, the Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it since it came out.
Owen Wilson in a haunted house. Owen Wilson
is in it too. Holy shit.
I'm not claiming it's a good film. No sane person would, but it's really fun to watch.
So you're going to recommend it. It's going to be your final horror recommendation.
It's coming out on Blu-ray.
Because I think they came out.
The Paramount Anniversary Edition.
Yep.
I think it also came out like the same year that House on Haunted Hill came out from Dark Castle.
It did. I love Dark Castle stuff.
And I love Dark Castle too. And it totally went the entire opposite. I did not love The Haunting, which I thought looked amazing. And then I'm like, well, and then there's this stupid remake of this Vincent Price movie that this isn't going to be good. And I'm just like, holy shit, Chris Kattan can act.
Yeah. While we're on this subject, though, I'm sure you guys are aware of this, but you guys have seen the House of Wax remake, right? And we're all aware that it actually like plays out a lot more like a Tourist Trap remake.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah,
if you guys haven't seen Tourist Trap, like first of all, you should see Tourist Trap because it's great. Yeah. And then if you watch Tourist Trap and then watch the House of Wax remake, like it's sort of uncanny how many things line up there, and they don't really line up for House of Wax. But I finally saw an article this week where somebody posed that question to the director and the screenwriter, I think, and they were like, it's weird that works out, but that wasn't like on our radar at all. And I was like, then that's even more amazing. Like, if you made a stealth Tourist Trap remake without knowing it, like, holy shit, it's amazing that movie exists.
Dude, y'all should do as part of because we do a game show at the Fantastic Fest called Fantastic Feud. I don't know if you guys do something similar at Chattanooga or at Frightening Ass Film Fest, Chris, but you should add as part of it what the survey says for like movies that are generally considered to be terrible horror or action movies of the fest attendees. what was the rating? Did they give it a thumbs up overall or a thumbs down for movies like 13 Ghosts remake and shit like that?
Yeah.
That's like 5% on Rotten Tomato, but Fantastic Fest goers.
I will tell you,
Too many of them shit on it. It's just gonna make me sad. So
I think we may be aired by like putting those surveys up on the website, because I think one of two things happened. Either a bunch of people who don't actually come to Fantastic Fest answered the survey, or a bunch of people who come to Fantastic Fest are crazy.
Yeah.
Some of the survey says responses we've gotten have been like, what the actual fuck, guys?
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this one up. I want to give my thanks again to Chris Dortch from the Frightening Ass Film Fest, which is October 30 to 31st. You can go to faf.festivy.com. It's going along the bottom of the screen right there.
Check it out.
Badges for that
you,
with
guys.
lots of horror for your end of the season. And as well, he runs the Chattanooga Film Festival, which will be, what you think next year will probably be in April? We're hoping, crossed fingers.
yeah,
right?
if the world returns, we're gonna shoot for spring again. Why the fuck not?
There you
why
go.
not?
Yeah.
And Luke Mullen, of course, is one of the head programmers at Fantastic Fest that I'm sure y'all are already planning next year's festival in whatever format that might end up being.
We're working on it. Have no fear.
And then Trevor Trujillo, my coworker, my partner here, who co-hosts the Nighthawks podcast, which I highly recommend listening to. And you can also listen to him debate movies on Oneofus.net. But
And
thanks,
our fearless
everybody.
leader, Chris Cox. Thank you.
I've done
guys.
nothing.
Really appreciate it. Bye.
I will promote
Thanks so much for having us.
my new HP Lovecraft dongle
Oh,
bobblehead.
it's perfect. All right. Thanks, guys. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching our video. This is Oneofus.net. Like and subscribe to keep us going. Check out all the rest of the videos we have here on YouTube. Go to Oneofus.net for tens of thousands of audio recording podcasts that we've done reviewing your favorite movies and television shows. And you can even become a subscriber there for yet more stuff, including commentaries for movies and television shows. Join Oneofus.net, support Oneofus.net, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.